Hi everyone, Laura here with another video to help you through the loan process. So today, that is actually exactly what I want to speak with you about, and that is what is the loan process. So a lot of times we'll get questions on why are things taking so long, or that kind of thing, especially right now. Our appraisers, our title companies, even us as loan officers are definitely slammed with new files, people buying houses because the market is very hot, or just things are taking a long time and people kind of want to know why. So I wanted to share a little bit of that process and why, as much as I would love to snap my fingers and have our closing be tomorrow, there are some reasons that we can't do that. So the first part of the process, you may or may not have gone through already, which is the pre-approval process. So we are going to take your application, pull credit, and get all of your documents to verify that your income is okay. There aren't any other things out there that can affect the loan, as much as possible. I will say, always with the caveat, every loan is completely different. So there are lots of little alleyways and side streets that loans can take as things pop up based on your situation. So we try to avoid as many of those as possible, but those can sometimes come up. So once you get me the pre-approval stuff, we think everything's good to go. You get out, you find a house, you go under contract for that. What are the next steps from that point? So the first thing that we're gonna do is get your loan disclosures all drawn up. We usually do those via e-signature, but my clients know they always have the opportunity to sit down with me and do those on paper if they want to. So once we have all of those drawn up, those are just a lot of the government disclosures and things like that you have to sign, but also some really important things like estimates for costs and all those kinds of things, what your interest rate, what your payment's gonna be, all of that is included in those initial documents. So we get all of that tidied up, your documents, my documents, and then I run it through a computer approval. So that's kind of our first step with that. I have probably run it through the computer approval before we ever get to a purchase contract, but we do that one final time to make sure everything is good with the property that you're purchasing. And then we get all of that tidied up, and that gets submitted to two departments at RUAF called case opening and processing. So what those folks do, they go into the file in the computer, they put everything where it's supposed to go, pay stub where pay stubs go. They're gonna run all of the government programs and things like that we need to make sure that you don't have any federal liens out there. They're going to start doing your verification of employment, all of those things that we have to do for the loan that you really can't do, they're going to start for us. So then after all of that is completed, and that process takes a few days, they are going to submit to our underwriter, and our underwriter is our decision maker on the loan. So we are going to have that computer approval. A human being is going to go back through and make sure that we've calculated income correctly, all of those kinds of things. They are going to come back with an approval and tell us what items they need to see for the completion of the loan. So what those are definitely depend on your situation. So if you are divorced and we haven't seen your divorce decree, we may need something like that. Maybe more clarification on the way you're paid, depending on, if you have bonuses or things like that we're considering, that sort of a thing. They almost always are going to need to see your homeowner's insurance and the title work for the property if we don't for some reason have those ahead of time. So with that, they're going to, again, it takes 2 to 3 days for that process for the approval to come back. In the meantime of that, we are going to work on title work. We're going to get your appraisal going, all of those things. So again, every time we bring in another entity, the title company is going to take a week or two to get the title work back. The appraiser is going to need a week or two to schedule and set the appraisal appointment. So all of these things, we try to run them simultaneously, but sometimes they get tangled up and we get stopped at one point or another. So with that, all the items that the underwriter comes back and says we need to get those back in as timely of a manner as possible. So what I try to do is get with my customers within 24 hours of getting their approval back. I try to give you a call, shoot you an email, shoot you a text, and let you know what remaining items we need. The quicker you can get those back to me, the quicker we can move on the process, because we need to have all of that stuff back. I really like to have it back a week before we're trying to close, but as quickly as possible. That way we cannot be pushed and rushed at the very end of the loan process. So once we get all of that stuff back, and you may remember me telling you about this, you will get a final closing disclosure for your loan. So this is a document that has all of the fees exactly as they're being charged to you. Your interest rate is locked in, all of those kinds of things. I have to legally have that to you at least 3 days before closing. So if we're trying to close on Friday, you need to have received that by Monday or Tuesday, and I don't have any say in that. So if for some reason we weren't able to get that out ahead of time, it is literally the law that we cannot close until the next week. So the 3 items that we absolutely have to have for that, I should say 4. 1, we have to have your interest rate locked in. 1, we have to have the appraisal cleared, we have to have your homeowner's insurance, and we have to have our title work back. So once we have those things all wrapped up, I can get your closing disclosure out so that we can start that clock. In the meantime of that, we usually try to get our clear to close at the same time, which is where we've submitted back everything the underwriter has asked for, and they have stamped off and said, yes, you can close this loan now. So once that closing disclosure goes out, like I said, there has to be at least 3 days. From that clear to close time though, we really need to give our closing department and the title company's closing staff as much notice as possible to be able to prepare the final closing documents that you'll be signing and they are also signing off on. So ideally, we'd love to give them 72 to 48 hours. Sometimes we push that. Absolutely 24 hours is usually our cutoff. So just so you know, if it's, a case of things are getting delayed, that sort of a thing, we do our very, very best to try to make closing deadlines and, all the life things that happen when going with a loan. But sometimes we just are kind of wedded to waiting because of sheer volume or just things out of our control. As always, I'm here to walk you through this process. So if you are in need of anything, you can reach out to me anytime, and I'm happy to kind of walk through what this is going to look like for you specifically. Have a great day.